My name is Carlotta A, and I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering and robotics at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. And I'm also the outreach lead and the undergraduate lead for Black in Robotics. Black in Robotics was formed during the pandemic in 2020. And since that time, we have found that there is a great interest in people just learning just basic STEM robotics. And so we have several sponsors who actually support our mission in order to bring robotics to more people. And so the best way we have found to do that is this robotics workshop series, which has now been going for 3 years. And we have lots of great workshops. We have about 3 more this season after this one. And we're excited for our drone workshop because this is the first one we have ever had. So we wanted to do this, and Cyril was gracious enough to agree to do it because he is one that has done this. When we go in the breakout room, Shavella, you can go into outside, inside, wherever you want. Just keep the Zoom on because the TAs will be in the breakout room with you. I just got a question about, should we be inside or outside? I recommend you go outside if you're not that great at flying, or you're going to be chipping paint off your walls and all that kind of stuff. But you can fly your drone wherever you like. Just make sure you're being safe. So the mission of Black in Robotics is a nonprofit organization that was formed to address systemic inequities found in our robotics community by focusing on 3 primary pillars: community, advocacy, and accountability. We want to bring the robotics community together around these initiatives. Black in Robotics brings together a global network of Black roboticists, allies, and organizational sponsors contributing to the goal of enhancing diversity, inclusion, and equity in robotics. We believe that to see increased presence of Black and underrepresented minorities in robotics, we must actively build community, advocate for diversity, and encourage accountability. Our workshops are open to everyone because we really do believe that diversity benefits everyone. So our agenda today is mission of Black in Robotics, which I just shared. Then Cyril, our facilitator, will be giving a 30-minute lecture on what are drones, what types of drones, how drones work, drone applications. Then we will be given an introduction to the drone that hopefully everyone received, a DEERC D70 drone. Then we will have a 30-minute breakout session. We sometimes make them a little shorter if we run over, where you're going to do trimming, calibrating, and hovering. I have found that it was very difficult for me to fly this without trying to calibrate the GPS and trim. Then we will come back and do a check-in for the second hour, the second 30-minute lecture, where we'll talk about advantages of drones, challenges and concerns, the future of drones, and then we'll work on flying. And then we will have a breakout session, and then we will wrap up. As always, you can put your questions in the chat, or you can come off of mute and ask questions aloud. Or if you like, you can ask questions in the breakout room with your TA, but please do not be off mute during the lecture because then it's very difficult for people to hear. Before we get started, are there any questions? All right, so to introduce your facilitator, your Cyril Azubuine, I probably am saying the name wrong. Cyril has been an active member of Black in Robotics from the very beginning. And he is a serial volunteer and STEM advocate with a demonstrated history in robotics, drone technology, and cloud computing. He started teaching at 16 and has trained over 5,000 students in STEM on programming skills, robotics, and drone technology from elementary school, high school, university, graduate, and obviously internationally, because Cyril is located in Nigeria. He's a STEM ambassador and curriculum developer for Africa Youth Ignited, based in Canada and South Africa. Please, if everyone could give a reaction to give Cyril a warm welcome, I am now going to turn it over to him.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Berry. I really appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, as well, for the reaction. So next slide, please. Let's go straight into business. All right, so today's topic is going to be focused on drones. And before I proceed, I just want to ask one quick question. You can drop it in the chat. Have you heard of the word UAV before, or have you heard of RPA? So if you've heard of these words, then automatically you already have an idea of what we are going to discuss today. All right, so some people said yes for UAV and no for RPA. So these are actually the same thing for all, right? So the UAV is unmanned area vehicle, and RPA are more like remotely piloted aircrafts. So a drone is just a typical device, or should I say an aircraft that has no human inside. So that's just what it is from all indications. So I would go to the next slide so we can proceed going forward. So in the next slide, we have what are drones? So the very big question is drones are also known as unmanned aerial vehicle or remotely piloted aircraft. And these aircraft can operate without the human pilot on board, right? They are controlled either remotely by human operators or autonomously on board with onboarded computers. So you could actually have these drones being flown just by itself, or you could actually control these drones with your remote control. So that's just the basics about these drones. But today we have what they call swarm drones, and these are like where the technology has advanced to, where you have multiple drones flying with a very, very high precisions and coordinated together to make a particular artwork. All right. So the next thing is the concept of drones, where this concept actually started as far back as in the 20th century. And for some reasons, it's been used for a very long time, right? So like you can see, it was emphasized that it was used in World War I and World War II. However, okay, I'll get to the question later on. Just give me a moment. The first recorded use of drones was for the military, like in the 1849. So that's the history when they started using the drones. So the drones basically was used for the military operations, right? But today, modern drones are actually they actually evolved in 1990s and became widely used in not just for the commercial purposes. Today, we use drones more in the industries, and it's now so vast that you use it in virtually all industry. So just tell me your field and I'll tell you where you can use drone in that part of your field. So are you into medicine? Are you into agriculture? Are you into construction? Are you into real estate? Drones are currently used in those areas. So we're going to learn about that in the next slide going forward. But now let's proceed to the next slide and see what we have. Now, the big question, what are the types of drones, right? So a lot of people ask what are the types of drones. But before I proceed to types of drone, I just want to react to a question I saw in the chat. Moses said, "What was okay? What where the multiple drones are used together?" Okay, so the multiple drones used together are called swarm drones. So when you have multiple drones flying together with a very high precision, and they majorly use them for artwork, they use them for carrying out maybe a celebration per se. So these are what they call swarm drone. Okay. All right. So types of drones, we have the call consumer drones. This used for recreational purposes and like for photography. You could use this just for taking picture, like you're having a celebration, let's say a wedding, or you're having an event, and you take your pictures with, you take a selfie with your friends and your folks and stuff like that. So these are consumer drones that you can use like that. The other one we have is the commercial drones. So commercial drones are strictly for applications like industrial applications. And for example, you will have agricultural drones. We have drones that are very, very good in terms of carrying out, what I call it, issues relating to constructions of bridges and defect in bridges. So these are drones that are used for those purposes. And we also have delivery drones, which are used for medical and also delivery drones. Some are also used for logistics, right? So you could actually book, place your order for Uber Eats, and your drone gets to bring your your food items to your location. So these are like where the drone technology has evolved to at the moment. So the last one we have is the military drone. So basically, the military drones are actually where the drones technology really started from. However, they've improved more into the military drones because of the fact that these are very high technology, especially for the military, because instead of you sending troops of soldiers or risking their lives with very expensive helicopters, you could send and deploy multiple of these drones for reconnaissance and surveillance and also for combat. So if you see the technology of drones, it has actually evolved a lot. So I'm going to check what I have in my chat. And hi, Cyril, this is JD. How high can we fly drones? Okay, so we are going to learn about how high you could fly your drones because I'm going to move to the slide where we talk about safety and also your heights. But however, the height you should fly your consumer drones is less around 40 feet. But the drones you have at the moment is more like a toy drone. It's not the standard drone. So you don't really get to fly above, let's say, 100, just 100 cm, or let's say um, up to, let's say, 9 meters or 5 meters. Yeah, you don't fly above that because your drones are not so steady enough. But if you have a consumer drone, for example, you shouldn't fly above 400 feet. That's the law from the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration.
Cyril, I was
So,
going to say, Kaya also asked about that. And I don't think
okay.
that the drones we have are the ones that they're talking about for Kaya. So I was like, if Kaya does go outside and stays below the trees, I think they should be okay. In fact, I
Yeah.
don't know if our drones even get high enough to be in that regulation concern area.
Yeah, sure, you're right. So the drones we have at the moment, like the drone, the DEEC series that was given, can't even fly it up to that height. So what I'm giving is based on the standard consumer drone, like the DJI product, for example. So if you have these drones, you should just fly within like your just below trees, right? Below your trees around your compound. So that's really safe there. So you don't have your drone fly away. Because when you have your drone fly away, you miss your control, then your drones just get missing from your radar. And that's it. So just to ensure you fly just above your height, it's fine, just because of the drones you have are not steady enough. Okay, some drones can be used to explore where there are different obstacles, but coordinated together. Okay, thanks, Kayode, for the explanation there. So the drones you have actually more they are indoor drones, but it's very advisable to fly them outside anyway because of they can drift a lot. So you don't really need to hit something and get your propeller broken. So I'll go to the next slide now. I think Dr. Berry can help us with that. You've seen the pictures of the drones. You've seen that we have the consumer drones, we have the military drones, we have and all those stuff. Though, but today, the next slide here is just to talk about how the drones work. So when you see the picture here, we have that the drones, we have different kind of drones, but for today we are going to focus more on the quadcopter drones, which is more like this that you have here, but we still have the fixed wing. We're going to talk about that later on. Now, the drone components majorly are the propellers, the motors, the battery, the flight controller, the sensors, and cameras. So the sensors could actually be your gyroscope sensor, your thermal sensor, GPS, and all those. Those are going to be more of like the integrated circuits that works with your drones. And when you also want to fly your drones, you should make sure that you should also have it in mind that you have the manual drones, you have the autonomous drone, and you also have the semi-autonomous drone. So these are the technology in which you could actually use when it comes to how drone works, right? So you could actually send a drone from one particular position to the other, just by programming it, giving it the points of start and also the destination points. Then you could fly your drone with your remote control, right? Then you could even you could make your drone autonomous by deploying multiple drones to carry out a particular task, more like a demonstration to carry out a particular task and even write a name of someone or to design maybe like a fish or design a flag of the country. So these are where the technology of autonomous drone has taken us to. So I'll go to the next slide, then we can dive more into the components of drones. So, okay, so if you look at these pictures, you see that it's kind of adding all the components that we have here. It's added the propellers on the four motors. It has the flight controllers and the GPS. So when you click again, it's going to add the battery. Then we can now proceed to the next slide. So you see the battery underneath now. Okay, thank you, Dr. Berry. All right, so more emphasis on how drone works. So if you see now, see my time from working. Okay, so we have still drones are equipped with multiple components, like I said earlier. So we have the propellers, we have the motors, we have the batteries, flight controllers, we have the sensors and cameras. That being said, the flight controllers is more like the brain of the computer, just like when we do like your self-driving cars, for example, with Arduino. So Arduino is just like the brain of the computer for those people that attended the last workshop where we did autonomous obstacle avoidance vehicle. So, but in this case, we don't have Arduino, right? Our Arduino in this technology is going to be our flight controller. So we have the K22, uh, we have the Pixhawk flight controller, we have the Adicopter. So Adicopter is a flight controller for drones, right? We have the Cube, we have the Cube 3D flight controller for drones. So these are more like the brains of the computer, which processes the sensor data and also provides stability and control during flights. So users can control drones remotely through the radio signal or, like I said earlier, autonomously. So when I mean radio signal, what I mean is the control like this. So yeah, I have this control, that's the joystick. So you can actually use this radio, they call it radio, or you can call it remote control. So these radio signals can be used to fly this drone manually. However, you could actually still program your drones more like a standard drone, not the one you have with you. You can program it with your computer and make them autonomous to fly with a pre-programmed route. So when you see the picture we have here, you notice that we have four propellers, or should I say four motors. So when you look at it diagonally, you notice that we have two drones move counterclockwise. We are going to also explain this in the next slide, but I just want to bring it to your notice that the two drones move counterclockwise, then the other two drones, which is 3 and 4, move clockwise. Now, why this technology exists is more just to make your drone balance while it flies, because if you look at these drones, it's going to balance with these two directions, then balance with these two directions. So with that, it doesn't make your drone turn around. It's going to make it stay steady and fly up and down. So then lastly, the picture we have there is just the control, just the remote control and your should I call your phone stand where you get to see your videos while you're flying your drones. That's just a picture of a typical drone remote controller. So I'm going to go to the next slide so we can proceed going forward on the introduction of the DEERC D70 mini drone. So this was a drone that was sent to us. I think it's more like this one I have here. So this one has the 720p camera, and so these drones are toy drones, so don't really think you have like a very, very big machine in front of you. I don't think you could expect much from these drones because they are quite cheap, unlike the more expensive drones. So these are quite cheaper drones that you shouldn't expect so many big things from them. They have the FPV foldable, so you could actually fold your should I call that arms? You could fold them and make them a bit smaller. Like you can see from the picture, I just folded my drone to something very miniature. And it has battery. So I have my battery at the back here. So this is my battery. I don't know if you can see this, but let me see if I could you could see them though, but this is what my battery is. Then one key start, okay. So you could actually press the button, then you could start off with that button, and you could fly in headless mode. So it means that you could fly irrespective of the position of the drone. So this is the front of my drone, for example. So you could fly even if your drone is facing like this. However, you should be just behind your drone. So you just get to know that the position you are, once you control it, it goes forward. And when you control it backward, it comes backward. So with that, it kind of helps beginners not to crash their drones. So that's why it's advisable to fly your drones when you're learning at with the headless mode technology because you're learning at that point. So you don't really need to crash your drones back and forth. Altitude hold is more like allowing your drone to stay in one position. So like I said earlier, these drones are not well calibrated. If you use altitude hold, you can actually let your drone stay in one direction. So if your drone was for agriculture, for example, you could then irrigate your environment. You could spray your fertilizers. You could spray your pesticide. So that's what altitude hold does, basically. Okay. So someone asked the question, Shalara. I said, they are good to learn on and it's pretty handy. Okay, I crashed it many times and it's disintegrate. Okay, it didn't disintegrate. Okay, fine. So yeah, so that's one thing about these drones. So if you have the very expensive drone that you get for like $500 or like $1,000, when you crash there, you're not gonna be happy with that because you're looking at your money. You're crashing your money, right? So why you could actually use this to learn is because of the fact that you don't really get issues when you crash them because you could actually still put them together and then you fly your drone again, right? So you don't really get that issues like, oh, I just crashed my drones and I bought these drones for like $500, right? Right. So that's just it. So one also amazing thing about this drone is that it has the capability of flipping, like about 360 flip. So there's a button you could press on your drone, then gonna flip like this. I'm gonna flip like in 360, then come back to the normal position, right? So they've actually pre-programmed that particular demo into the drone. So it's flipped all by itself, but then you must have charged your battery very, very well. So unless it might actually flip wrongly or it crash somewhere. Right, so transmitter and receiver as well as cell phone app for flying. So you could actually have the cell phone app and you can fly the drones as well. So it's cheap, but then it kind of has this capability of a real drone. So I think that was one of the amazing stuff I like about it. It's cheap, but it's kind of give you this presence that, oh, so I'm actually having my drones, but these are what you could just use to learn, right? If you really want to do a drone business, I would advise you get the standard mini drones from the DJI. We have the one from I think the one DJI is a Chinese product, however. I think we have Skydio, which is a US product. We have Hotel. So there are so many products that actually are also available in the market. And you can see the picture here. We have the drones, we have the four arms, we have the two batteries, we have a picture of the, what do you call this? So this is more like the holder for the phones. You can just have this to hold your phones there. Then you have your control kits here. All right, so I'm going to go to the next slide, just going forward. I think this is a video. Am I correct? Should be a video.
Yes, Cyril, this is a video, but I forgot to turn the sound on. So I'm going to play the video, but let me stop sharing so I can turn the sound on. I'll turn it back on.
Okay, fine. All right.
All right, let me turn the sound on and do it again. Okay.
Welcome to the D70 tutorial video. Unboxing. Open the packaging box, and you can scan the QR code to learn more information. Take out the product and accessories. The transmitter requires 3 AAA batteries, which need to be purchased separately and installed. Please remember to charge it before the first use. When fully charged, the light will turn green. Scan the QR code in the card from the manual to download the app. Quick start. Insert the batteries. Place the drone on a flat surface and power it on. With the tail facing towards you, power on the remote control, and the drone will automatically pair with the transmitter. Connect to the Wi-Fi and open the app. Install the phone holder. Unlock the drone. Short press to take off. Press the right joystick once, Then push it to make the drone flip in your desired direction. Short press to switch between the 3 speed modes. Short press to enter the high-speed rotation mode. Long press to enter the circle fly mode. Short press the left joystick to enter the headless mode, and the drone will forward in the direction of the head when you took off. You can manually adjust the angle of the camera. Short press to take a photo. Long press to record a video. Again to stop recording. You can hold the button in the upper left corner and push the right joystick in the opposite direction to adjust. Landing. Press both buttons above to emergency stop. Please use with caution in the surrounding environment. Controlling the drone without transmitter. You can view the tutorial, instructions, and album in the app. Enter the operation interface and call out the joystick to control it. After activating the voice mode, you can control the drone's movements with specific voice commands. Fly. Right. Left. In tap fly mode, you can draw the flight trajectory and the drone will execute the command. Take a victory gesture to take a photo. And use a palm gesture to start recording, and again to stop. You can also take photos and videos in the app. Before turning on the gravity sensor, please hold the phone horizontally. The drone will fly according to the tilt of the phone. Thank you for watching and enjoy your fly.
Uh-oh, sorry.
Welcome to the D70 tutorial video.
Oh wow, this is really amazing.
To the
Like
D70.
so the drone has so many technologies. However, like I said earlier, these drones are very cheap. So the the uh they may not really be so perfect, just like the way they were actually portrayed in the video. But then you should try to understand that there are so many glitches that you may face. So it's not so seamless just the way you saw it in the video, right? Because these drones are very cheap. So these are just like, they are more like the marketing strategy. So you may not really expect it doing the perfect thing that you just watched. So don't really be like, okay, let me try my gestures, and you just have your drone flying away and leaving you alone, right? So that's just it. So now, very, very important, safety first, right? So before you fly your drones, I'm going to show you the rules of the drones afterwards, but I just want you to ensure that you should note the flight environment. So fly in an open area. So if you have a very big living room and you want to fly it, fine. But better still, you could actually use your lanyard hat to go to your compound and see. You also ensures that trees are not so close by, because you could actually crash on trees too. So open areas, maintain a visual line of sight. Visual line of sight is called a VLOS. So it's kind of okay. So it kind of give you the ability to see your drones while you fly them. So fly below 328 feet, which I told you earlier. I mentioned that the major standard for drones is to fly below 400 feet, right? Don't fly above 400 feet, right? So these are the thumbs up, or these are the things you should take note of when you want to fly your drones. Open areas, visual line of sight, and also don't fly above 400 feet. but there are still more regulations. You shouldn't fly close to the airport or military base. It's very wrong. But let me give us this other one. So where we have the warning signs, don't fly close to power lines, right? It's very dangerous. Avoid over nearby obstacles like crowded areas. Due to privacy issues, don't do that. High voltage power line, and do not fly near strong electromagnetic sources because it will actually affect your radio. And once it affects your radio, you may end up having your drone fly away. So if you fly close to high electromagnetic systems or substations, you may lose control of your drone, right? And once you lose control of your drone, you know what that means? Your drone is going to just fly away and you may not be able to control your drone. So you actually just lost your drone. And do not use the drones in advanced weather conditions. So these drones you have, like the one you have at the moment, is not even built for that. So there are actually some drones that could be used for adverse conditions, but these are more like for the military because they are more advanced. They could actually be able to manage some weather conditions, right? Their battery system is more developed. So you should also make sure that you don't fly your drones in those areas because your battery is is more like an explosive. So it's very good you manage that. I'm going to go to the next slide, but let me answer this question, or should I see this comment? There was a drone situation in CA that paparazzi were using for pictures in accident scene, which ended up delaying the helicopter going to hospital. Wow. And the accident victim died. Oh, that's sad. It's definitely useful to follow this instruction. Thanks for that, Chioma. So yeah, so like I said earlier, you should, because of these drones are also aircraft, you're competing with the real aircraft. So for that reason, always ensure you have your safety checks very well. Now you see the storyline from that message means that you could have saved someone's life in the helicopter who is trying to get medical attention, but because your drone was on air, the helicopter couldn't fly because if the helicopter should collide with your drone, it's now going to be risky for the helicopter pilot, the patient inside, and even your drone, though your drone is not really that tangible at the moment, but then the humans in the helicopter are very should be considerate. So it's very nice you ensure those things. Now, do not fly on moving vehicles. So don't follow along moving vehicles while you fly your drones. Only turn off drones while flying in case of emergency. So if you are flying your drone, so they have an emergency button, right? But this in your drone you have it, but in a standard drone they call it return to home or return to launch. So this technology allows your drone to come back to the original position where it took. So more like come back to home or return to launch or return home button. So it's more like a fail-safe method. That's just it. So return starting point charge when battery gets low. So ensure you charge your in fact, that's the first thing you check. Make sure your battery is full before you even take off. So you know that, okay, this is actually the distance I'm going to fly, and this is the battery check I need to consider. So keep distance from drones to avoid ear damage. Don't just ensure that because these drones are very fast and they're noisy, and also the blades can be dangerous. Yeah, I've actually had issues with my hands being cut off with drones. Like seriously, I've actually had that issue. It kind of caught my hand so well that I was bleeding. So you also ensure that you stay away from your drones while you're flying them. I'm not talking about these mini drones. I'm talking about standard drones I built myself, which was crazy. All right, so feed the battery at the correct location, at the correct orientation. Don't ensure you place them well, because I told you earlier, these batteries are more like explosive. So you could actually turn it the other way, or you may not place it properly and it gets short-circuited. Once they get short-circuits, you could actually burn your battery just with that method because they are LiPo batteries. So LiPo batteries are called lithium polymer battery, and lithium polymer batteries are more like explosive components. Yeah. So don't mix old batteries to new batteries. So for your controller, ensure you have just the new batteries in your remote control, and use charging cables. So the appropriate charging cables use it for charging your drones as well. So you don't really overcharge or undercharge your drone. So I'm going to proceed to the next slide. Let's see if we could have, okay, these are our maintenance check. So you can see your drone is so light. So if you have dust particles on top of it, it's kind of make your drone heavy. So these are some of the maintenance check you should consider, and avoid prolonged exposure to sunlight, because those batteries that you have there, they're LiPo batteries. So they have a temperature you should work with, unless they get very hot and they could explode. All right. And also, these drones are not waterproof. So you could also consider preventing it from being damaged by water and all this. Check for damaged part and replace instead of using. So very important. Make sure you replace those parts. All right. So the next slide, see how much we've got. Okay, so when you have your drone kit that was sent to you, you should notice that you have all these components available. You have your drones, your transmitter, your battery. You should have your USB charging cable, your propellers, your screwdriver. So the screwdriver is more like to help you tighten your propellers, right? Then phone holder, the instruction for use. So these are the major package content that you should have in your drones. And I believe you must have seen them. So I'm going to go to the next slide so we don't take much time on this side. Then let's see. Yeah, so the drone details, like I said earlier, I told you that we have diagonally two sides move counterclockwise, which is this, let's say diagonal like this. So this is the front of the drone. These two sides are going to move like in clockwise direction. Then these move in anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. So depending on the English you want to use. So this is counterclockwise, while this is clockwise. Why does it move like that? It moves like that because it doesn't want your drone to go round. It's kind of balancing the speed here and the speed at this side, so your drone stay in one position. So it's in physics, it's more like action and reaction are equal but opposite. So it's kind of giving the action at this side and the reaction at this other side to be equal. So fine, they're opposite, but it's going to make this drone stay in one position. Okay, the next slide. I think that's it. I don't think we have much stuff here. Okay, this is just more like talking about the headless mode I mentioned. When you have your drones like this, you take off like this. So you have your drone like this, maybe backward, then you fly your drones. So when you push forward, it's gonna still fly just like the way it is, right? So it doesn't really get you confused about the orientation or the position of your drones, right? But however, we still have the three major movement of your drones. So when your drone turns around like this, when your drone turns around, maybe like staring at people, they call it a yaw motion, right? When it rotates around its one axis, it's called the yaw motion. Then when your drone moves like roll like this, it's called a roll motion, or that rolling motion, right? Then when your drone move forward like this and also move backward like this, it's called a pitch motion. So in drone technology, we call that 6 degrees of freedom, right? So I could, when I was doing some project or some training with some folks in the US, drone cadets, so we used to sing this song. We call it roll, roll, left and right, throttle up and down. Pitch goes forward, pitch goes backward, yaw turns all around. Roll, roll, left and right, throttle up and down. Pitch goes forward, pitch goes backward, and yaw turns all around. So that's just the songs we use. So it kind of help kids to also know that they could actually add entertainment to their learning, right? All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this is more like emphasizing on the headless mode, like we mentioned earlier. So you get to know the position of your drones when you fly your drones. So it helps you as a learner, so you don't crash your drones. So it's a great training tool for beginners and pilots. Oh, the song was great. Oh, thanks. All right, it's also useful when the drone is too far from the pilot, and also makes you keep a very good visual line of sight as well. So it kind of helps you. Headless mode is very cool for you. And these are like also when you want to start your drones, you use entry, you press the down button to enter. That's the left of the joystick on the transmitter. and it will beep continuously, which indicate that the drone is in headless mode. Okay, then when you want to exit, you press down on the left. So these are just like, okay, this is the remote control you have already with you. So it's kind of showing you how you get to start up with the headless mode and how you also get to get back from the headless mode. So if you see, you also have the trimmer button and you also have the high-speed rotation button. But I wouldn't advise you to use those high-speed rotation buttons because you need to calibrate your drone, you need to trim your drone before you do those technologies. So you don't really have your drone like fly differently. And also don't carry out 360 flip. Don't carry out 360 flip yet. Ensure your drone can actually stay to an extent balanced properly. All right. And they even made it quite easy. You could actually press a button and it takes off and lands, unlike you flying, taking off and land by yourself. So you have a takeoff button just by yourself, right? And yeah, let's go to the next one because you know the next one is to just to harm your drones and stuff. So let's see. I'm trying to manage with time. I think we have like 1 hour. All arms of the drone. So before you open, you need to open the arms, ensure they actually get to the extreme. Because if they are like this, if they don't get to the extreme, it kind of affects your drone's flights. So ensure they get to the extreme. Yeah, because when they get to the extreme, it gives it balance. So all arms of the drones are folded before the drones is packaged at the factory. So unfold them and then unfold the rear arms as well. Okay, these are just like the pre-checks. Next slide. I think we have this slide twice. So, okay. Okay, so long press the power switch button to turn on the drone. So I want to turn on my drone, for example. I'm going to press this. Mine is in the middle, so I'm going to press it. So you see it comes on. I don't know if you can see this. So it's blinking at the moment. So this is just my own drone here. It's more like a mini drone I fly indoor. And it's on. So place the drone in a flat surface. You ensure you place it in a flat surface because the moment you calibrate your drones and the surface is not flat, it's going to affect your flights. Yeah, very, very important. So make sure your drone is on a flat surface. So that's very, very important. And next slide. So and the head is going to face forward. So if you make the head face forward, it's also very good for you. So whether you fly in headless mode or not, you know that you're facing forward. So it helps you to also coordinate your drone properly. One key takeoff. So your remote already has one key takeoff. So you don't need to bother about harming your drone because if I'm flying maybe a standard drone, for example, what I need to do is to harm my drone. Harming means you're just starting your drone machine, like starting all the engine. So it's going to just rotate by itself. So the moment you harm your drone, all the blades rotate. They're calling harming. Then the moment you press take off, it's going to take off. Or the moment you increase it, it's just going to take off. So that's just that. So we have takeoff, short press, and when the drone is flying, short press, the drone will automatically land as well. So the button is for takeoff and land. Let me check some message in the chat before I proceed. So next slide is going to, based on safety rules, I have flown this DJI Matrix 300, quite a big drone. Okay, on a small offshore platform, and the drone refused to land because it was detecting the pilot and co-pilot from the point he took off from. And eventually, we had to force land and carefully move away from the propellers. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Christopher, for that insight. I really appreciate that as well. So this
Cyril,
is
I skipped a couple of slides because the main thing we want to do is get the trimming working. We get the GPS calibrated and make sure everybody can take off and land in this next breakout. So I skipped to this slide.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. We're doing this. No. Okay. Oh yeah, sure. Shema asked if we're doing this now. We're gonna do this now in the breakout room. But let's read up what we have. So the forward trim, if the drone tends to drift forward, you press the trim button and do not release it. At the same time, push the right joystick. So the right joystick, you push the right joystick, right joystick back one time. Then depending on how the drone drifts. Okay, so this is more like if the drone is drifting forward, you press the trim button and push it back once. So make sure that it's kind of trimmed to get a more steady position. And after each push, wait 2 seconds to watch the drone's movement. If it still drifts, push the joystick back again and repeat step 4 until the drones drift forward. Okay, no more. Okay, so until you have like a steady flight, that's when you know you've properly trimmed your drone. That's what they're trying to ensure there. So you could actually have your drone drifting forward. Sometimes you could also have your drone drifting sideways. I think that of Dr. Berry, from what I noticed, it was drifting towards the left. Yeah, it was drifting towards the left. So that was a challenge I noticed. Next slide. So now for calibration, you need to put it in a flat surface, but before you need to press the long press the gyro calibration button for 2 seconds to calibrate the gyro. Transmitter will send out the long press, the long beep, which indicates the calibration is completed. But just ensure you put it on a flat or a level surface. So I think that's one of the most important things you need to check. You cannot fix the drift until the trimming function. Okay, there is no influence of okay, ensure there is no airflow, like you don't on your fan or you don't have a breezy environment, so you don't really get your drone start drifting back and forth. Calibration button is just at the bottom down there. So, okay, this is a video from Dr. Berry's demo.
So no,
Okay.
don't calibrate. Do the trimming first. And if the trimming works fine, don't even bother to calibrate the GPS. You only have to calibrate the GPS if the trimming doesn't work. I'm going to skip this one because I sent it to everyone because I want to make sure we get to the breakout rooms. But I'm going to go to the next slide, Cyril. Hold on. But they can watch these later because I put the link to the slides in the chat. So the main thing we want to happen during this breakout session is we want to make sure everybody gets their drone trimmed, started, and are able to take off and land safely. You can get that part done. You can try some flying, but that's the main thing we want to do. So what I want to do now is I want to stop sharing so I can make the breakout rooms. All right, y'all, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. As soon as Cyril gets back, we will do check-ins and finish with the lecture and then go back out and do some more flying. I see some of you already got flying done. Let me check and see if everybody's back yet. See who's still missing.
Okay, so nice. Really, I think my breakout session we're able to like do check everyone. I think everyone already has their drone flying properly. And I think they did enjoy my session because I kind of showed them a video I did with drone cadet simulation. So it's gonna help everyone as well. And
Okay.
we're gonna provide the link. Yeah, we're also gonna provide the link so you could download this simulation video and check it out. Brianna, I think is Brianna showing us video?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
she started flying out there during the section.
Oh, wow, that's good. That's good. I like the spirit.
She
I
went
like
to
the
trim and
spirit.
start flying right away.
Oh, nice. Oh, she has already hit a ton of the video. We're enjoying it already. All right, that's cool. I think Choma has a question. Great.
No, I just need videos for our social media because our social media be getting a little stale. So if anybody is willing to take a video of their flying drone demo, send it to me so I can put it on the social media. Like Brianna, send me that video.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yes, even Thomas asked about it. So yeah, good. We need to have those videos. So we also need to have it to let our sponsors know where we actually did this training and it was impactful as well. So it's kind of really help our PR. So you could actually share videos, let us know how you've been able to do. Dr. Berry, are they to send it via email or to tag us via social media? I think any of them works fine.
Yep, either way, either tag us on social media or email me. Both work.
Okay, cool now. Okay. Oh, I don't take pics of video. Oh, okay. We'll resolve that later on. All right. So during applications, because of our time, I'm going to proceed. Should I proceed, Dr. Berry?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, then. Thanks for that. So I'm going to proceed further. just to discuss more into drone applications. Now, drone have a wide range of applications. Like I said earlier, we are used to consumer drones. However, you can have your industrial drones for personal use, but strictly, we have drones for different activities. So first, we have area photography and videography. So you could actually have your drone do some paparazzi and all those stuff, capturing stunning images like maybe wedding first kiss, right? You could have your drones capturing activities and maybe in a carnival session. So you could actually use drones for mapping, like for GIS projects. You could use drones to map your environment, use it to check for what they call it, topology of your area, creating 3D maps and terrains. You could also use drones for agriculture. You could use drones to spray farms. Like in 2021, I was able to build drones with some university students. And what we did was to build a irrigator underneath the drone so we could spray farms, right? So you could use drone for that as well. Then search and rescue operation. For example, in an incident of flood, in an incident or fire, you could use your drones to search and rescue victims as well. Environmental monitoring, you could use these drones as well for tracking wildlife and also assessing populations of different animals. You could also use them to monitor forest health. So there are some drones that you could use, you can mount thermal sensor in them. So with that thermal sensor, it kind of shows you how many trees have actually withered or how many trees have their fruits or their fruits ready for plucking. So it's going to give you the thermal gradient of that forest. So you can use it for environmental monitoring. Drones are unique. What matters is the sensor you use as a payload, right? What sensors are you feeding it? What sensors do you have attached to the drones? That's what makes these drones used for several applications. So it's so vast. You could use your drones for delivery packages, like in congested area, like in New York, in Lagos, Nigeria. You could actually deliver items like food items from a point of disbursement to a point of destination. Then lastly, infrastructural expression. So if you're into real estate and you really want to thrive in your business, you can try to get a drone service, try to learn how to fly your drones. So you don't need to pay someone like $100 just to go for survey, right? You can just learn how to fly drones. So I know someone based in LA and she's Sammy Scully. She's into this real estate business and she just had to learn. No, she's not into real estate. So she just learned how to fly drones just because they could call her for just survey for like 1 hour and she get paid for like $100 or $200. So you just get to like survey people's environment and say, okay, this is the house you want to get. This is the front yard. This is the backyard. And this is the lawn yard. So with that video, it kind of sells the technology and that's just it. So that's basically applications of drone. There are more and more applications of drone. I'm going to go to the next slide to see more, but let me see, Shara, your should be able to take pictures. Okay, that's a comment from Carlotta. Thanks for that. So advantages of drones. So why do you think we should have drones in our technology, in our business? Drones are often, they can often perform tasks faster as a lower cost than traditional methods. So when you're carrying out a real estate business, you need to take pictures, right? But when you use your drones, for example, you cannot take the whole pictures, the whole environment. So it sells your business, right? So that's one of the most important use of drones. And that's why most people go into drone technology, even though they are not a pilot, but they kind of have this zeal to go into drone technology, right? So that's one thing. Improve safety. Drones can also replace humans in hazardous conditions. So like in the case of the I think the fire outbreak that happens in the US and also in the Florida flood. So these are kind of technology that could really help in this scenario. So you don't really need to risk your helicopters to those environments that are really burning or they are being affected by flood or hurricanes and that, you could actually deploy drones to really check all those things. And you can help to reduce like loss of lives and practice more. Rapid deployment and mobility. So drone can be deployed quickly. So there are some places your vehicle cannot go to, right? But with drone technology, you can actually send your drones to those places. It cannot help you to gather data and gather information and also report them on real time. Yeah. So there's a technology they call Internet of Drones. While your drone flies, it cannot send you the telemetry data of your environment, the temperature, the video coverage, the relative humidity, tells you everything about that environment. So you don't really need to start adding more sensors to maybe your vehicle or stuff like that. So it's very good for rapid deployment. And also the versatility, accessibility. So drones can access remote and difficult environment, like I said earlier. So it kind of helps today's world. So that's what we preach. I think with Drone Cadet, we preach drone for good. And that's what we also do with some organizations like Women and Drones in South Africa, where we train women to fly drones. So if you want to know more about it, you could go to LinkedIn and search for Women and Drones. You see some amazing women I've worked with, and we kind of use drone for good. So these are the technologies you see, and it's really, really mind-blowing. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide, and let's see if we could talk about the challenges, I guess. Yeah, challenges. So it has the importance, but then there's so many challenges when it comes to drone technology. So don't just assume we just have those what do you call it? We also have the challenges when it comes to drones. So number one is regulation and legal issues. So when it comes to drone technology, there are so many regulation issues, like drones operation are subject to strict regulation. So you must actually pass your FAA Part 107. So you must get a license for you to actually fly your big drones. So when you have a drone that is more than 250 grams in the US and you fly those drones, you could actually be prosecuted if you don't have your Part 107 license. So you should know that you need to take those Part FAA exams. So you really know that these are very, very important to consider. Privacy concerns. You don't fly your drones around your neighbor's yard. Due to privacy issues, you should ensure you're not spying on your neighbor, because you could actually be persecuted for privacy reasons and stuff like that. So ensure you're not trespassing when it comes to drone flights. One other challenge which Chioma pointed out is the risks about it. So, when it comes to drones, these are also aircraft. Mind you, this is an aircraft. The fact that it doesn't have a human inside of it does not mean it's not an aircraft. It's also an aircraft. So if these collide with a typical helicopter that is as big as 2 times of an SUV, you could actually get the helicopter grounded, like you could damage the helicopter. So these can actually get lost into the blade of the helicopter, and with that, it could cause disaster. It could cause something very, very huge. So it could be very, very catastrophic. So collision with aircraft, buildings, humans, you should also note that. And another thing is limited battery life. So for some reasons, drone battery for consumers drones, they last up to like 30 minutes. The ones you have should be like 8 to 11 minutes, I guess. 8 to 11 minutes. But for the DJI, should be like around 30 minutes. So they are currently trying to advance on the technology of lithium polymer batteries, so they could see if we have more lifelong batteries on drones. But for now, most consumer drones have limited lifetime, so we can constrain to your application. So you may just have to fly, then return back to launch, change your battery or swap your battery, then go back for deployment. Unlike the military drones that could actually fly for like 24 hours, because their technology is way more advanced, because some of these drones use solar panels. So they could actually charge while they fly. So it kind of saves you that time to come back to launch. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Then going forward, we're going to then proceed to other things. So the future of drones. So like I said earlier, drones is advancing really, really fast. right? Last time I checked, I think the last time Nigeria celebrated their independence, my prime media came to Nigeria and they used about 500 drones to give the color of the Nigerian flag. So we have green, white, green. All those were done with drones. So if you go to Prime Videos on their Instagram, you see where they used the drone, about 5,000, I think 500 drones to make green, white, green flag. So these are actually things which drone technology has really, really brought. It's kind of advanced these days. So technological advancement, the innovation, integration of AI and automation. You could actually have smart drones that could recognize humans at its flies using computer vision technology, right? Expanded application and industries. So the future of drones looks promising and ongoing technological advancement is increasing really fast. So if you're not in the drone technology today, you are definitely going to go into drone technology soonest. So it's very nice you start up trying to gather some ideas on how drone works because it's something that is going to keep on increasing. Now, the technology of drones has so much increased that we don't talk about drones these days. What we talk about these days is what they call AAM. They call it advanced air mobility. It's more like a drone that can carry humans now. So they call it flying cars. We have what they call urban air mobility, UAM. So urban air mobility is more like saying, instead of me having my drone piloted with remote, I want to enter my drone. So I want to be the pilot in my drone. So they call it urban air mobility. And this is the future of flying cars. So you see that drone has actually brought about advanced air mobility, and it has also brought about urban air mobility, which is a new technology, urban air mobility, which is a new technology that drones has brought. So drones are likely to find new applications in industries, continue to transform various sectors like the delivery, transportations, and environmental monitoring. I think currently in the US, I think Amazon also use drones for delivery. And even in Africa, yeah, in Rwanda, they use drones to deliver medical supplies to villages at the moment. So let me check what I have in the chat while I go to the next slide as well. Very cool. Okay, I'm starting drone piloting school and you just asked us to pay about 175 grand. Look at example for the 107 license to fly drones commercially. Yeah, sure, you're right. So you need to take Part 107 license, yeah, for you to fly drone commercially. But if it's not for commercial purpose and your drone is less than 250 grams, you can actually fly your drones without the license. But if your drone is very heavy, like it's more than 250 grams, and you want to use it for commercial, like you want to make money out of it, you should ensure all those things. Dr. Berry, can you go to the next slide while I answer these questions? What kind of job can you get from mastering drone piloting? Oh, wow. Okay. So I like the question. Brianna said, what kind of job can you get? So there are actually a lot of jobs, right? So you don't necessarily need to be a pilot for you to go into this drone business. Like currently, when I started as a STEM teacher in Lagos. But for some reasons, I kind of start training people on drones, more like drone trainer, right? Drone instructor. You could actually, the next one I wanted to do was more like to survey, like to work as a drone surveillance, drone inspector, where you could actually hire me to like inspect your real estate or your construction sites. So I could help you inspect it for like 1 hour, then you pay me my funds and I leave, right? So you could actually do the kind of service. And for some places now, like in the US, I know some colleagues of mine that carry out what they call network monitoring. So they go to like this tall mask, then they kind of check if there is any faulty drums on the mask. So those inspection, your telecom company can pay you very huge amount for just 1 hour that you want to just monitor different marks and see if you have any issues to fix for them. You report the data, you report your videos to them, and they also know, oh, this is what we want to do. This is what we need to do for us to have a very good network system. So if you're into agriculture as well, you could deploy your drones and use it for irrigation purpose, or you could just get these drones, then they could hire these drones for just irrigation works, right? Or just for fertilizer applications and stuff like that. So like it's so endless. You could use for medicals as well, for medical stuff. Yeah, geospatial scientist. Okay, someone already started that. Oh, that's good. Uh, Let me read up before I go into my slides. Yes, I am a geospatial scientist. Okay, yeah, I started GIS last year, so I know what you mean by that. So use drones, imagery, and software to create maps. Yeah, sure. I used was it Google? Forgotten technology I used. Is it Q something? I used that application last year, and I was able to do some GIS work with it. And it was really amazing, which to assist disaster operation. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I'll connect with you. That's nice. They can be used to inspect lines, power lines, yeah, as well. These are also very cool. So, okay, so they're actually amazing application use of drones. Let me continue because of our time. Also observe your pre-flight checklist. Your pre-flight checklist I'm talking about here is your battery, your propeller. Ensure you don't have obstacles around. Ensure you are not flying close to the military base because they could shoot your drone down. Because you're more like a threat to them. They don't know who you are. They don't know you didn't get a license and you find your drone around them, right? So you don't fly close to the military base. So these are the pre-flight checklists. Make sure your battery is fully charged. Make sure you have, if you're flying a very big drone, try to keep fire extinguisher around yourself. Very important because those drones can be very, like the battery can be as big as a car battery. Yes, the battery can be as big as, like I've seen a very big drone. This drone, the battery, it was so heavy. I was wondering how possible can this carry this battery? So these are actually very bigger drones that you could actually see. So these are agricultural drones that carry about 20 liters of water or 20 liters of chemicals to spray farms. Do not fly above 400 feet. Yes, very, very important because of you don't have the light. You don't need to fly above 400 feet because you're not in the military. So if you're in the military, you could actually fly more than this, right? So, but then these are very, very, very important. 400 feet is very high. So don't think it's something low because of its 400. No, it's very high, actually. Always maintain visual line of sight. So ensure you're seeing your drone. If you don't see your drone, try to bring your drone closer or try to ensure you can be able to see your drone. It's very important. And do not fly over public places because of privacy issues. Do not fly at night. Yeah, because flying at night can be very difficult. You may not even know if your drone is facing forward or backward. And especially if you're a learner, you shouldn't even try it. You shouldn't even try it at all. Do not fly around an airport. Like, in fact, airports are no fly zone, right? Only special persons fly around the airport. And probably, like in Canada, I know there's some drones they send around the airport. So those drones look like birds. So what those drones do is that they actually fly to chase away birds. So in our next slide, I'm going to show you what they call ornithocopter. So we're going to see some drones that are used for specific purpose. But why Dr. Berry changing the slide, let me just read up what I have in the chat. So yeah, I'm sure that the military has tilt drones. Yeah, sure. Sure. The military has so many crazy drones that are so different. The phantom drones are huge. Yeah. They also have drones tracking software, but it can be pricey. Yeah, sure. Be mindful of no fly zone. Though getting the owners of license and registering your drone with the FAA may help. Yeah, sure. Drone must be registered with FAA and if over 250 grams. Okay, yeah, sure. Those are nice insights. Thanks for all those insights you're dropping in the chat. These are really helpful. Because of our time, I'm just going to proceed. So, kinds of drone based on the environment. Now we have the unmanned area vehicle, which is UAV. Some drones actually are drones that you could use in planetary environments like the ground-based rover. These are also drones. So some drones are actually for extraterrestrial surfaces. So yeah, some drones they deploy in Mars, for example, or some rovers. They call them drones as well, right? So they have the underwater drones. These are, like, I know I've had some stuff with some folks in Australia, and they use underwater drones just to check for aquatic lives. So these are the pictures of an underwater drone that has cameras, that has a light system, and could actually propel itself in the water and capture images. And these are imagery that could be used for like marketing or to talk about underwater bodies. All right. So the next slide, let's see. These are drones based on environments. So let's see if we have more classes of drones. Next slide, please. Okay. All right. So yes, these are where we now talk about other pictures or classifications of drones. So here we have the horizontal takeoff and landing drone. I've been talking about this drone since. So who can tell me the class of this drone? Based on what we have here, these are the VTOL drones. These are vertical takeoff and landing drones. They don't really need to get a runway. What you just need to do is just to get a landing pad, then you lift. So they don't need a runway for you to take off, right? So they call them the VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. Then we have the horizontal takeoff and landing drone. Then we have the eVTOL. eVTOL are more like combination of both, right? They have the propellers and they also have the wings. So eVTOL are more like drones that manage your fuel or your battery. Yeah, because it kind of saves your energy. And these are the drones they use for delivery most times. But if you look at it properly, you notice that the horizontal takeoff and landing drones are more like for the military and for weaponry. All right, so that's basically it. So you could also call your eVTOL, you could call it the hybrid drones as well, because they have a mixture of propellers at the top and propellers at the back. All right, so the next slide. So let's see if we could proceed forward because we have just limited time. Okay, so this was the picture I got from Drone Cadet training, and that's this Grace, one of the founder of Drone Cadet at the corner. So, so in this video, more like training on how to throttle up and down, just using your joystick. This is like a mode 2 system. So this is a mode 2. Mode 2 have your throttle up and down by the left. You have your yaw by your left as well. Then you have your pitch by your right and your roll by your right. So this is a mode 2 joystick. And that's what we have with us as well. So I'm just showing you. Throttle up and down takes your drones up and down, more like to lift it up and down, take off and land, take off and land, take off and land. Then yaw is to turn your drone around, right? Then we have the pitch forward and we have the pitch backward. Then we have the roll to the left and roll to the right. I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this was the video I showed those in my breakout session on how to fly drones. However, I'm going to send you the link of that video so you could also watch them and see how to go about flying your drone. So in this video, I just showed them how you could take off your drones using the simulation software that was provided by Drone Cadet. So with your keyboard, you could actually just do a small demo video at home. Then you just take off your drone, take off, land on your computer. Then you could yaw around. Then you could roll just that way. So the normal song I used to use, roll, roll, left and right, throttle up and down. Pitch goes forward, pitch goes backward. Your turns all around. Dr. Berry is nodding her head. Nice. All right. So, Dr. Berry, I think the transcript is not writing again. It's not showing on the screen. But let's go to the next slide. The transcript kind of stopped at one point. Yeah, so when you're flying your drones, especially for commercial, oh, I think it's working now. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. When you're flying your drone, especially for commercial purpose, you should always ensure you have a co-pilot. Who is your co-pilot? So I'm going to ask you a question now. Looking at this picture, you have a girl with the remote control and you have someone that is observing. Who is the visual observer and who is the pilot in command? The PIC is it the man or the girl?
A girl.
Who is the, okay, yeah, the girl is the PIC, because if you see, the PIC are those ones in charge of the drone. And the PIC don't have the time to start looking who is at the back. Doesn't have the time to start looking who is beside me. The PIC is always looking towards the drone. That's what they call the visual line of sight. Now, the visual observer is going to be the co-pilot, because the PIC can say, okay, can you check who is behind me? Can you check if any aircraft is coming behind me? So I don't need to, I can either land my drone on time, or can you check if a bird is coming behind me so it doesn't crash with my drone? So PICs are those that are in charge, while the visual observers are more like the co-pilots. So in summary, pilot in command is always in charge and he controls the drone, while the visual observer helps to check for obstacles around. But both are responsible for safety, right? Both are responsible for safety, not just one of them. Next slide. Okay. That's diversity. So we have girls flying drones. So it's something very feasible. I like the picture. The picture shows that, oh, it's a typical girl could fly drone. Not just that stereotype we have that drones are for guys, right? So, all right. So types of drones. I think we already talked about this. Well, more like this is a summary. Yes, PIC can fly beyond the visual line of sight as well. So you could actually have this VR glasses, and you could actually fly what they call beyond visual line of sight. So it's BV loss. So BV loss, the BV loss, which is beyond visual line of sight, more like the technology that allows you to fly your drones very far and with high speed. Yeah, BV loss. Yeah, thanks for that. All right, so if you look at this picture, this is ornithocopter by the Canadian airspace. They use this drone in Canada just to chase away birds coming close to the airport. So these are ornithocopter. Ornithocopter are more like animal drones. So we have insect drones, we have birds drones, we have drones that look like octopus. So many kind of drones, right? So any drones that look like that mimics an animal behavior are called ornithocopters. So they kind of make these drones behave like them so they can actually understand them or to tackle issues relating to them. So what the drone does in Canada is that when it sees bird coming to the airport, it flies to chase them away, because they've actually noticed that birds can cause drone and plane to crash when they kind of get stuck in the engine. So they kind of have these drones to chase away those birds, because they fly just like a real bird as well, right? So since our emphasis is on multi-rotor drones, we have the 3 propellers drone, which is the tricopter. If you look at this picture here, how many propellers do I have? We have 4 propellers, am I correct? So this is the quadcopter drones. However, we have the 6 propellers drone, which is the hexacopter, and we also have the 8 propeller drone, which are the octacopter. So these are very, very huge drones. Like when I mean huge, they are very, very huge drones, and they are very, very expensive. So, but for this lecture, we focus more on the octacopter drones. Let's go to the next slide. I think it's more like the summary of what we want to do. We are actually still on time. Wow, I think we're on time though. Cool. So we managed our time properly. So this image here is more like portraying some of the activities I've done. So we kind of, like I said earlier, I volunteer with Black In Robotics and also volunteer with Brainstorm Alliance. So there was a time I did a program for Black in Canada, the Black Canadian STEM programs. So we had the program where we need to train them all about aerospace and aerospace technology. So these were the picture I was able to use to like ensure that they kind of get the picture of how they could go into drone technology. But the picture at the middle is showing a PIC trying to look towards a drone with the visual line of sight. So it's kind of like giving you that for you to fly your drone, you should have a visual line of sight between yourself as the pilot and your drone as the object. So in this place here, you see the PIC is looking towards the drone. It's focused towards the drone. Now, you don't need to look somewhere. You don't need to look sideways. You don't have to look sideways. You just have to look towards your drone. And that's the major thing you should do. All right. So let's see what we have in the next slide. Think we are moving with good speed. Okay. Oh, okay. So these are just more like the control. Dr. Berry, do you want to show your video?
No, I'm skipping the video. We only have like 10 minutes left, so I'm going to give the participants a choice. Either we can wrap up on time at 3, or we can do another short breakout room to make sure everybody's flying. So maybe if everyone could put in the chat what would work better for them. We're actually done with the instruction part. We were really just going to do another breakout and then a bit of wrap up. So it's only like the wrap up. And I think the wrap up was really, now that we've done it with the transmitter, see if you can get it working with the app. I know Shalara already mentioned that the app was giving her problems. It gave me problems as well. But if everyone could put in the chat, what would be your preference? Do you need another breakout? We can do that for another 15 or 20 minutes. Or do you want to, I think we will sign off. Lecture was great, but a little advanced for my son. Oh, I'm sorry, Lewis. Please, please, please try to do what you can with your son with the, and come back. We do have some more lower level ones as well. Some Arduino ones, as well as some Vex Robotics ones, more for the elementary school age. Okay. So we're good to fly. So maybe we want to do a small breakout for the people who want to stay. We'll make one, maybe we'll just do it here. I'm good to fly. Can you place those links in the chat, please? Yes. So I'll put the links in the chat. Hey, Cyril, can you put your simulator link in the chat? And I'll put the Black In Robotics links in the chat. And it looks like most people think they're good to go.
Yes, because when we had our breakout session, a lot of people already had their drone sorted out. So it was
okay, really so I think we're good to go, but let's just put the links in the chat. We already put the slides in the chat, but I'll put those back again. That's the Black In Robotics link. I'll stop sharing so I can get the slide link.
Sorry, let me get the link.
But this is our first time doing this one, so we were learning. We weren't sure how much content and the levels and all that. And for those of you with kiddos, if this was a little advanced, I promise you, we do have some more low-level workshops. Those were actually earlier this summer, though. Everything from here on out is probably going to be intermediate to advanced. Like the next 2 are Raspberry Pi ones, Raspberry Pico and Raspberry Pi. And then that last one is a Python AI one. It's Aaron's second one. But the Arduino ones are probably the more appropriate ones for kids, as well as the Vex Robotics ones. So we'll make sure we do those next summer. Oh God, Brianna, please tell me you got it out. Please tell me you got it out the tree. But yeah, we're going to do some more. We're still thinking about eventually having a Roblox one. But I need to get a volunteer to get that one set up because Dr. Berry just don't be having time for all this. So if we have any teaching assistants who want to get the Roblox Black In Robotics workshop on and popping for next summer, let me know. But we're ending our season with Aaron's workshop, which I believe is at the end of October. So anything else, Cyril? Let's give Cyril a hand, please. He did an awesome job. Let's give some hands for a great job. Let me put my reaction in here too.